Well, mind you, rascals, have you ever felt the story deep in your bones before a single word was spoken? Begs the question, what makes you feel something is a good story, good character? Let's watch a clip. Fair warning, someone is dying. If you don't like that, I created a chapter, you can jump forward. For everyone else, headphones on, and I'll see you in a second. So, you don't know her. You don't know her backstory, yet you cared. At least, I hope you cared. Let me know in the comments. So this is part of the opening of a short film that I'm working on right now. And the big challenge here is that I haven't made a short film in years. Time is rare. I need to make this fast, but I'm also on my own, so I need a good pipeline, or this whole thing will be abandoned, unfinished. Stick around, be part of this journey, and let's create this first shot, this strong moment. Cool. So before we go to all the things like rendering, animation, character, set dressing, you need to understand one crucial thing, and that is how to place an emotional anchor. Without that anchor, all the technical shenanigans won't matter, because no one is going to watch your movie and see all the hard work you put into. So think about it this way. No one wakes up in the morning saying, let's make a shitty movie or a bad product, right? So the first step to making a good film is this question. Why is capturing emotion so powerful? You see, every film has a heartbeat, right? And every director has a secret to finding it. The secret is not just about making a film, it's about making your audience feel something, right? How? How? If you know that already, skip ahead. If you don't, then you're the perfect candidate for my mini film school. I promise it will be short and to the point, and then we get to the technical shenanigans, alright? Number one, know the purpose of your shot. Right? So the purpose of my shot is that someone is dying. Now, how is this message conveyed? It's rather passive. The tone is eerie, tragic. It is slow. It is by necessity that way, because she's so hurt that her movements are so subtle that if I would create some crazy camera shake and some elaborate moves, we might not even notice the subtlety in her movements, and therefore will not notice the very distinct moment of her actually dying. That is why adding crazy camera shake to your camera doesn't necessarily make your shot cinematic. You make a shot cinematic by knowing exactly what you need to communicate. Okay? And the camera has to reflect that. But we get to that once we actually talk about cinematography, so bear with me for a second here. The shot is slow and subtle, because she's so hurt that she can't even talk anymore. And that is very common for people that are very hurt. They are not able to talk anymore. And had that shot been abrupt, a sudden death, right, would be more like shock. But something slow, and we witness that. We can actually connect to her in that moment. Her last moments are intimate moment for us as well. So in my case, it needs to be slow. Next point. What changes in the shot? Okay, where do you start? Where does the shot end? Don't start where you end. Something has to happen, either story-wise or movement-wise. So just be interesting, okay? And then we also want to transition nicely. How do I get from A to B in a very interesting way? So my starting point is the gun. Okay, because it gives us a clue of what has happened to her. Why is she in that predicament, right? And then we focus onto her face, and we're with her in her last moments. And that is where the shot ends. That is the purpose of the shot. And I found this transition from the question, that clue, to what has happened to her, and then focusing onto her, that is, to me, that is interesting enough to sustain for the duration of the shot, okay? Next thing, each narrative can be broken down into beats. Someone tries a door, the door is locked. So they reach for the keys, they fumble, the keys fall down, the keys slide under some piece of furniture, they reach for it, their hands try to find the keys, they find the keys, and they unlock the door. These are all beats, right? Here's a question, you rascals. How many beats do you think my shot has? The key situation that I just explained could have been a sequence of shots. But in my case, we have one shot, and it's a simple push-in. How many beats? The answer is 3. The gun, the suffering, and death. And that is the purpose of the shot, right? Death, in that case, as bad as it sounds, is the narrative of the shot. Now let's wrap up Mini Film Schools, you rascals. The 2 things I want you to remember is what is a shot about, and tell 1 beat at a time. Okay, that's why we break it down into beats, so you don't overwhelm your audience, because that is a failsafe to set them up for missing things, and then it's confusion and delay. Next things, cinematography. Cinematography, I told you already, has a lot to do with what do you want to say and how you want to say it, okay? So, find strong angles. Go on your knees, go up high, find foreground elements, etc., etc. Just don't be lazy. I said before, be interesting, okay? in my case, I will start on the gun. That is my clue. But the keen eyes might have noticed that there's something special going on as well. The way the camera's lined up. We hit the gun here, and then we could shift focus straight on their face without the camera actually having to do much. Right? The camera pushes in on a straight line because everything else has been staged in a way that it doesn't have to do elaborate movements. It can the whole movement of the camera is subtle, so it doesn't distract from her and what she is doing, right? I can subtly push in, I can gently rake focus from the gun to her face, and it's an absolutely elegant solution that does not take away from what we want to show. What the camera does has to reflect what you want to say. So don't throw crazy camera shakes on something when what you want to tell is subtle and elegant, because camera movement needs to support the action. Crazy camera shakes come when you need action, or when you want to convey that tremendous force just hit us. What happens behind the camera? Just because we can't see it, or just because something the camera cannot see, doesn't necessarily mean that the actors should not see it as well. To me, there's nothing worse than those ninja zombies that just jump right into frame and bang, everybody dead. Now imagine this. The actors actually see something that the camera does not see. Like their chins drop, or they freak out, or whatever. They're in disbelief, right? That is such a strong opportunity for short-term suspense, where the audience is just starting to creep towards the screen and just like, what, tell us, what do they see? I want to, somebody turn the camera, like we want to see as well. That is a strong moment, and that uses the surrounding of the world. Think about it also the other way around. Sometimes the camera sees something and the actors don't see it. Like, we see there's something creeping up from behind, and now we have the same moment. We create suspense again because we also see that they don't see it. They have not noticed anything yet. That can be equally powerful, okay? That is cinematography. So don't forget what's happening behind the camera. That includes visuals, Foley, voices, anything. All right, pipeline. You guessed it already, my focus is on story and to create these shots fast, so I don't want to get blocked by technicalities really. That also means that I'm willing to pay for tools if they allow me to reach the required momentum to finish a project in a timely manner, but also with the quality that I want to strive for, right? So specifically for this shot, the tools that I want to mention are a human generator. And no, I'm not affiliated. I bought this tool and it was an extremely good time saver. I created the characters very fast and they were ready for animation. They're compatible for motion capture pipelines and compatible with ARkit for performance capture. So the difference between motion capture and performance capture is that motion capture records the overall body movement, while performance capture really tries to focus on what's happening in your face or with your face. And that brings me to performance capture. And it's such a time saver. I practically just record myself with a phone, export the animation or the recording as an FBX, bring it into my 3D tool, in my case it's Blender, transfer that animation onto my rig, and then I can dial things in. Once I see how the performance looks on the 3D character, I can actually start to judge it. It's often very abstract to judge it just based on what you see on your phone. That's why I leave tweaks to when I actually see the performance on the character. And tweaks are exaggerating or dialing back on blend shapes because it works with blend shapes. It can also mean that if a certain performance or a certain moment just feels a bit weak, then I can jump in and just give it more refinement manually. I mean, it was fast. Let's just say it this way. It was simply fast and flexible. Is it AAA budget quality? No, it is not. But for what it costs and how fast it is, and that I can do it all myself, for that it is fantastic, okay? And that is the most important thing. That it's fast and good enough. And that segues to animation, where things get very complicated. No, not for this shot at least, because keyframe animation is practically limited to what the fingers do in this shot, right? Once I had my pose, I used noise to create the spasms, and the only thing that was important there is that it doesn't look synchronized, because spasms are random. But so what I did is, like, per finger, I made sure that we have one finger that is just spasm, or whatever. One finger spasms the most, and the others are sort of a little less, and also have a different frequency. So that, again, things don't look too orchestrated, like it should be more random, because that to me is what spasms are. And that is animation, so very, very reduced for this shot, but it will get more complicated with the other shots, trust me. Now set dressing. And luckily, because the depth of field is so shallow, we don't see that much of the background. And that allowed me to just throw something in that sort of mimics what I want to have. So the atmosphere is there, but I don't have to be too concerned about it just yet. I will, however, have to block things out very soon once I know where the other characters will go to escape a certain situation. Then I'll have to really, like, put down a lot of attention onto set dressing, and you're gonna be part of it. I promise. I'm not gonna hold back. But for now, it's not final in this case. It will be decided later on. Lighting. Lighting is interesting on this end, however, because I wanted to have like a moody sort of atmosphere. The area where they are has no power. There, you have to be a little bit clever there, because you can't just put some practical stuff in there and like street lights or whatever and expect that is it. So the background, it's really just fill lights here and there to just get shapes of the buildings lit somehow without taking too much attention away from the character. She is backlit with sort of like a rim light, so that we have definitely the subject separation from between her and the background. There is some light coming from the right, camera right, to just get attention on the face, because that is where I want you to look at. But also there is an eye light. These two sparks, these two glints that that are in her eye. To me, that is an aesthetic that always needs to be there, to just like, because that makes it so strong. And depending on how you shape it and how big it is, you can just be very creative. But anyway, it makes such a big difference to have the eye light in there. It just supports especially subtle movement and stuff. It's really powerful. There's another light on the gun. It's just subtle, but obviously we start on the gun, so we want to see the gun, and it has to be very clear from, like, you look at it at split second and you need to know if that is a gun. Okay, and that's practically it. There's a little bit of volume scattering going on, just to create reduce the contrast as the scene unfolds. Yeah, I don't want to have the shadows that are in the background be as contrasty and as dark as everything we have in the foreground. So volume scatter helps a lot for that. Now rendering, that I have to be brief on that. I'll be honest, I'm not an expert on settings and optimization, so here are my settings. There's nothing special to it, and I think for the render times that I have, there's still a bit of noise in there. I did use additional noise in post-production to just blend things a little bit, because noise was predominantly where there was fine detail, like here, maybe the grid on the ground and stuff. By having additional noise in post-production slapped on top of that, it sort of gelled things a bit nicer. I don't think it's as apparent, but if you know how to optimize things to reduce noise and get okay render times, do let me know in the comments, please, and I will make sure that I share that knowledge. Yeah, that is the start of this series. Do stick around. Let's get more videos out. If you like it, leave a comment. If you have questions, leave a comment. If you know the answers to my question, leave a comment, okay? Yeah, hit the subscribe button, share it around, and I see you next time. All right, you rascals.